Live from Ball State University. News for the campus community and all of Delaware County. This is NewsLink Indiana.
With 9 hours until polls across the state open, candidates across the board are making the final push. Good evening, I'm Bryan Shawver.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. Thank you for joining us. We begin tonight with the governor's race.
Tomorrow, voters will head to the polls to choose a new governor. I take a closer look at the gubernatorial candidates beyond their TV ads.
Indiana voters are faced with two different futures for Indiana in the race for governor. Mike Pence, the Republican nominee, and John Gregg, the Democratic nominee, both have different opinions for the future. Libertarian candidate Rupert Bonham says both are wrong for Indiana. Gary Crawley, Ball State political science professor, says the candidates are popular to their base voters, but they still have to convince a whole different group to vote for them.
And while there may not be many moderate politicians left, there are moderate voters in the Republican Party and Democratic Party. And so that's who you go after, as well as the independents tend to be more moderate.
Now, some people might be able to tell you a few differences between these two candidates, but no one can quite tell you what separates these two candidates more than someone from each side.
Kaylee Moeller, chairwoman of the BSU College Republicans, is for Pence.
Are you looking for someone who is just going to play around, or are you looking for somebody who knows how to make tough decisions and is going to lead and continue Indiana on the great path that it's been on in the past 8 years?
On the other hand, Michael Quirk, the Delaware County Democratic chairman, supports Gregg. Quirk, like Gregg, ties Pence to U.S. Senate candidate Richard Murdoch.
I think that he understands how to work together, but I also think that he's willing to compromise to get things done, unlike Pence or Murdoch or people like that.
The issue of jobs and the economy are big in the Hoosier State. Moeller says Pence will extend Governor Daniels' approach. Quirk says Gregg will focus more on Hoosiers, like living wage jobs and education. Moeller and Quirk can both sum up their candidates in one word.
Compromise.
Leadership.
Now, recent polls show Pence as the clear leader, but in the final hours, Gregg is trying to close the gap which stands between them.
The U.S. Senate race between Republican Richard Murdoch and Democrat Joe Donnelly is shaping up to be one of the most expensive races in the history of Indiana politics. A flood of cash has poured into the Hoosier State since the race was thrust into the national spotlight a few weeks ago. Sarah Phinney is live in the studio with the latest on this closely watched race.
The last Democratic U.S. Senator from Indiana, other than a bye, left office 35 years ago. But one poll shows that may change tomorrow.
I struggled with it myself for a long time, but I came to realize life is that gift from God. And I think even when life begins in that horrible situation of rape, that it is something that God intended to happen.
Those last 6 words have plagued Richard Murdoch's campaign the last few weeks, turning a tight race into a double-digit disadvantage to Democrat Joe Donnelly. The Howie DePaul poll is the first nonpartisan poll taken after the final Indiana Senate debate. Since then, the already closely watched race has received even more national attention. A conservative group, the One Nation Under God Foundation, released a video of rape survivors' children voicing their support for Murdoch.
I appreciate people like Richard Murdoch who are willing to stand up for people like me and my future generations, my 4 children. He's not just standing up for me, he's standing up for them.
Donnelly is also pro-life, with the exceptions of rape, incest, and when the life of the mother is in danger. He released an ad criticizing Murdoch's, quote, extreme views.
He says he wants
to inflict my opinion on someone else.
And Richard Murdoch's opinions. Pregnancy caused by rape is something God intended.
And critics of Murdoch aren't only using the airwaves to spread their messages.
That's Richard Murdoch.
A talking mailer was sent out to homes in Indiana from the progressive super PAC American Bridge. It sent out similar mailers in Missouri after Senator Todd Aiken's controversial comments about rape in August.
Richard Murdoch. Hoosiers have heard enough of your kind of talk.
Murdoch's comments even drew the attention of Governor Mitt Romney. While Romney said he disagreed with Murdoch, he did not withdraw his support or his TV endorsement.
This fall, I'm supporting Richard Murdoch for Senate.
The Romney campaign says he supports abortion in cases of rape, incest, or when the life of the mother is in danger.
And that ends, I think.
Both candidates spent the day canvassing the state, trying to get their message out one last time, as this race may determine which party controls the U.S. Senate. In the studio, Sarah Phinney, NewsLink, Indiana.